Imagine flipping through a medieval manuscript and stumbling upon a lion that cures disease with its breath, or a unicorn that can only be caught by a virgin. Welcome to the wild world of medieval bestiaries, ancient books filled with creatures both real and imagined. These texts weren't just bizarre animal catalogs, they were used to teach moral lessons and religious truths. From the 12th to the 14th centuries, bestiaries were nearly as popular as the Bible in Europe. So, what made them so fascinating? Let's dive into the strange and symbolic world of the hidden creatures in these medieval tomes. Bestiaries didn't just appear out of nowhere. They trace their roots to a Greek text called the Physiologus, written between the 2nd and 4th centuries. This early manuscript combined animal facts with Christian allegories, setting the stage for future bestiaries. Over time, it was translated into Latin and expanded with ideas from ancient thinkers like Pliny the Elder and Pseudo-Aristotle. As Christianity spread through Europe, so did bestiaries. By the 12th century, monks and scholars were compiling lavishly illustrated books filled with strange creatures and spiritual lessons. These weren't just for entertainment, they were tools for teaching faith and morals. Clergy used them in sermons, and nobles collected them as symbols of wisdom and culture. Bestiaries became a medieval blend of science, art, and theology, preserved in hand-painted manuscripts that have fascinated historians ever since. Medieval bestiaries were packed with animals some you'd recognize, and others that defy imagination. But even the real ones came with a twist. Take the whale, for instance. One tale described it as so large sailors mistook it for an island. When they lit a fire on its back, the whale dove, drowning the crew, teaching a lesson about false appearances. Beavers were said to bite off their own testicles to escape hunters, symbolizing sacrifice and virtue. Then came the mythical beasts. The unicorn, for example, could only be captured by a virgin, representing purity and Christ. The basilisk and the cockatrice, serpent-rooster hybrids, could kill with just a glance or breath, embodying deadly sin and the dangers of pride. Manticores, creatures with the body of a lion, a human face, and a tail full of venomous spines, were warnings against deceit. Even dragons appeared, often symbolizing the devil. The bestiaries turned the animal kingdom into a moral jungle where every creature, whether it walked the earth or sprang from fantasy, had a deeper meaning. These stories weren't just for fun. They were spiritual lessons told through the fur, feathers, and fangs of the medieval imagination. Beyond the famous unicorns and dragons, medieval bestiaries were filled with bizarre, often forgotten creatures that revealed just how wild medieval imagination could get. Take the bonacon, a bull-like beast with inward curving horns, making it useless in battle. But it had a strange defense. It expelled burning dung behind it, scorching anyone who dared follow. This creature may sound ridiculous, but its story warned against underestimating the seemingly weak. Then there's the hydrus, a small river animal with an incredible destiny. When swallowed by a crocodile, it would burst out from the inside, tearing the predator apart. This brutal escape was used to represent Christ's resurrection, defeating death from within. The myrmecolion, or ant lion, was an impossible hybrid, the head of a lion and the body of an ant. It couldn't survive because it had the appetite of a lion, but the tiny digestive system of an ant. A warning against internal contradictions and living in ways that go against your nature. And the pard, a spotted beast, said to be the father of leopards. It symbolized sin, fast, seductive, and dangerous. Despite its ferocity, it was a cautionary tale about appearances and spiritual decay. These hidden beasts might not have made it into mainstream fantasy, but in the Middle Ages, they carried powerful messages. They were imaginative, moral metaphors, strange by today's standards, but deeply symbolic to medieval minds. In medieval bestiaries, animals weren't just animals. They were symbols packed with moral and religious meaning. Every creature had a deeper purpose, teaching lessons about good and evil, virtue and sin. The whale, for example, symbolized Satan. It lured sailors to rest on its back, only to drag them to their deaths. Just like the devil tricks people with false comfort before pulling them into damnation. The unicorn stood for Christ, pure and untouchable, captured only by a virgin just as Christ was born of the Virgin Mary. The hydrus, which tore its way out of a crocodile, was used to explain Jesus' resurrection, destroying death from the inside. The lion, often considered king of beasts, symbolized strength and divinity. Legend said it erased its tracks to confuse hunters, just like Christ eluded worldly understanding. Even common animals had meaning. The ant represented hard work and preparation for Judgment Day, while the fox, with its deceitful tricks, stood for the devil's cunning nature. These allegories helped people, especially those who couldn't read the Bible, understand religious concepts through memorable stories and vivid illustrations. Bestiaries weren't just books about beasts, they were spiritual roadmaps disguised as animal tales. One of the most striking features of medieval bestiaries was their artwork. These weren't plain books, they were lavishly illustrated, often with gold leaf, bold colors, and intricate designs. Each page brought the creatures to life, even if the artists had never seen them in real life. Lions looked like giant cats, elephants resembled oversized pigs, and dragons were wildly imaginative. The illustrations served a purpose beyond decoration. In a largely illiterate society, images helped tell the story. People could understand the morals and symbolism through the art alone. Monks, scribes, and artists collaborated in monasteries to create these visual masterpieces. Famous examples include the Ashmole Bestiary and the Aberdeen Bestiary, both created in the 12th and 13th centuries. These works were not just religious tools, they were prized possessions, reflecting both wealth and devotion. Today, they offer a rare glimpse into the mindset and artistry of medieval Europe. While bestiaries weren't scientifically accurate, they laid the groundwork for future exploration of the natural world. They blended observation with imagination, planting early seeds for zoology. As the Renaissance sparked a shift towards science and reason, bestiaries began to lose credibility. By the 16th century, scholars sought facts over fables, and bestiaries faded from serious study. Still, their cultural impact endured. Elements from bestiaries shaped medieval literature, art, and even modern fantasy genres. Today, we see their influence in everything from fairy tales to role-playing games. These books remind us how stories, even fantastical ones, shape our understanding of the world. Medieval bestiaries were more than just catalogs of creatures. They were mirrors of belief, creativity, and moral teaching. Through mythical beasts and symbolic animals, they connected people to spiritual truths. Even today, these strange books fascinate us, reminding us how storytelling and imagination have always helped humans make sense of their world.